Like those. Have you seen those boots?
Bro, yeah.
Like he can do that.
Oh
Kanye can just do that if he wants.
Yeah.
And we're all like, cool.
Was once a thug from around the world.
Easy. Yo, welcome to the No More Experience coming from Vancouver and Toronto. Let's get it.
Perfect.
All right. So today we have with us, with a fresh new single, Storm Goring.
Thank you.
What's up, legend?
I'm cool, bro. How you doing?
I am so good, man. I'm so good. We've been talking off camera, but we're rolling now, and let's talk about this single.
Hey.
What's the name of the single first and foremost?
Should Be Staying. Yeah. First single of the year, actually. Dropped January 1st.
Yeah, try to beat him, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, honestly. It's just because, like, for me, it's just, I feel like in that last quarter of the year, like, I just kind of picked up a lot of momentum. And then, like, took a trip back to Toronto. And, like, that was my first trip literally back home in 5 years. And, like, I was able to get in the studio with my engineer that, like, again, like, we've been working together for 3 years now. And, like, I literally had never met him, like, in person before. So, like, I went back, got into the studio with him, and then got into the studio with my longtime friend, Adam Daly, actually. And then that, like, just as a whole, like, it was like a 6-hour session, but, like, from the moment we all got into the room, it was just organic. Like, everybody was kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And, like I was kind of telling you off camera, like, I typically just write in my room and, you know, like, just do everything pretty much in an isolated environment. So to be in the studio with those two, like, it was refreshing in a way, because I was able to, like, say, write something and be like, oh, what do you think about this? And kind of bounce ideas off of each other. So, like, the songwriting process was a lot easier. And then to be able to go in on a beat that was literally made in front of me from scratch too. And then also to literally not have to write a full song, it just made it that much easier, you know?
Hell yeah.
Because, like, I find, like, a lot of it, like, I put a lot of pressure on myself because, like, I'll be like, oh, I want to put this out. And, like, I'll think of, like, the timeline when I want to put it out. So, like, if I make, like, a dance hall kind of song, I'm thinking this has to come out in the summertime. So I'm in my head, I'm putting pressure on myself, being like, okay, I got to get this done so that I can send it off with this time. And, like, so I'm just trying to sit through literally a session that should just be a hook that I'm writing in a first verse. And I'm trying to write a full song in one session.
So single comes out January 1st.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why January 1st? Like, you're talking about time of year, everything like that. This song, how does it match up with just starting the year off properly?
It's really just because, like, that beat to me, like, it really has, like, a Christmassy kind of, like, vibe to it. And, like, dropping around Christmas time is kind of, like, is just not a good move in my opinion, because it's like, I don't listen to Christmas music, but that doesn't mean this person doesn't listen to Christmas music. And, like, imagine being around your family around the holidays and then you're hearing something about, like, you know, booty shaking and whatnot. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, I don't feel like that's going to resonate well. So I kind of just had to literally aim around when people would be partying again. And then, you know, with this whole pandemic and stuff like that, it kind of makes it tough. But I was like, New Year's Eve, that's kind of when people will be out. And, like, I mean, it came out 9 p.m. our time, like PST, but in, you know, East Coast, they didn't get it until literally like 12 a.m. January 1st.
So there's a couple things in the song that are super interesting to me. One is, and maybe I'm wrong, but Pillow-Tain.
Oh, Pillow-Tain.
Oh, that's about the bike.
Yeah.
I thought you invented a word with that, like Pillow-Tain.
Nah.
Like entertaining these ladies from the pillow. Pillow-Tain. Maybe we have to add that in the next single.
I wish I could do something like that, but nah, Peloton. I'm trying to remember exactly what I said, but we don't even need a Peloton. Fucking fitness. I got moves to get you wet. And, like, that whole fucking fitness, like, fitness.
Those Pelotons are crazy. I wish I had one in the house.
Yeah. It's literally, honestly, over the pandemic, I kept seeing everybody posting about it, and I was like, what is this thing? And then, yeah, it turned out, I was like, oh, this fits in perfect, so.
Yeah, one of the artists I work with out of Ipswich, England, his name's Sarex UK, the king of England, in my opinion. And he goes on one of those Pelotons from time to time. And he's in England, but they have on screen the what's that called? The seawall? they've got the seawall on the screen. So
like
he's in England
man.
riding this Peloton around the seawall, like down by Stanley Park. And so he can't travel here right now, but he can at least kind of enjoy
at least be here, like virtually. In a way. Honestly, that's kind of cool though, because like for me, like when I think about, like I'm so against going on a treadmill in a gym, because I'm like, I don't want to just run and see out like whatever scenery is outside of the window, or even a wall in front of me. Like that's just not appealing to me.
No.
So like if I was ever gonna run, I was always like, I'm gonna do it outside, so it's like changing, and like at least you have different levels of elevation, so it's more of like a challenge, you know. But being able to see, like literally visualize like being in a place like Vancouver when you're in the UK, like that's pretty cool actually.
Yeah, it's cool. So the whole song is like, it's very like sexually charged, the song.
Yeah.
Which we need more of that in the city. There's a lot of these songs about this, that, the other. We're a very like hippy dippy kind of city.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that like deep, like hit on the,
like,
you know, it's in our nature. So it's good to have some songs in the city that represent that side of us.
It's like kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like I just, you know, like people, I feel like some people don't really talk about what's true to them, and like I don't walk around with guns. I don't do anything that's like even street remotely. And like a lot of people will call it soft, but I'm like, I wouldn't really call it soft, because like you're trying to be hard for this reason, thinking that you're going to impress this girl, but I'm over here serenading her, and you know, it's like, what's really going to work? Like, so I don't know. I just let them do what they want to do, and then I'm just stay in my lane.
Yeah, this is not a question, but I imagine you do decent with the ladies. It's not a question.
I mean, I'm chilling.
Also, by the way, I'm going to name this whole episode now is officially just going to be named Pillow-Tain. I can't have it.
Yeah, the Pillow-Tain.
So aside from the new single that's out, like this other huge body of work that you've been putting together, like how long you been doing this for? What sort of led up to this single?
Well, to be honest, I started writing music when I was 13 years old, and like I turned 26 in August. But to be honest, it's been up and down kind of thing, because like for the longest time I wasn't really able to write about things that were true to my life, just because like I had to figure out like rhyme schemes, cadences, and all that different stuff. But like, so like picture when I started, it used to be just like rhyming like bat with Matt, you know, like very basic, like elementary kind of flows. And then I was able to develop different like melodies and whatnot, but still not actually say anything with my music. And then it was just until like, I want to say the last 3 years where I was able to kind of like more so like get in tune with like my heart and everything, like write like about like, you know, like I could write about like this situation right now, but like in the past, it would be like, how do I even go about wording this, or how do I go about telling this story? So honestly, it's been a long time, but like getting up to like, and again, it's just like in those 13 years, like I had to go through a lot to, you know, be able to like even have any kind of substance. So like that body of work is just like, because it is kind of like, it feels like I'm contradicting myself to say that like I'm not an open book, but like, you know, I'm telling you all this right now. But it's just like, for me, I bottled up so much, and like writing music is just like a form of therapy for me. So like if I felt like I wasn't really heard when I was younger, it would come out in my music. So like I would talk about like this, that, and that, whatever. But yeah, honestly, it's just a whole therapeutic kind of thing. So that's why there's so many songs, because I know like I can't really go, like I can't really say amount of time, but I can't go a while without making music. Otherwise, you'll just see me kind of get depressed and whatnot, and like just kind of shut down in a way. So I don't know, but like all in all, like that whole body of work is just like everything from R&B to like hip hop to like a little bit of dance hall and like Afrobeat influence kind of things. And it's just all because like that's kind of what I listen to on a day to day. So, and I try to stay far from being one dimensional. And the main reason for that right now is because like when I get to where I want to be, I don't want people to be like, oh, you switched up because you're now in a different light. Now you're trying to be radio. It's like, I've been doing this forever. So
yeah, I mean, and that's one of the cool things about artists now. It's like back in the day, if you tried to change genres or vibes or anything, they'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Even the fan base would be like, no, no, no. But now it's like you could put out a punk rock album, then drop a hip hop album, and then an R&B album,
Yeah.
like Tory Lanez, and people will eat it up. They just want more content now, and they're like, you know, you could drop all 3 of those in 1 year, and people are fine with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always gonna have your people who are like, I don't want them, but for the most part now, you can get away with anything. So we have this freedom now to be artists however we want. You know, if a month from now I want to put out like an emo goth album, it's like I could or whatever, and no one will be like.
Well, I feel like we're finally getting back to like the whole root of the word artist. You know, it's like I don't know who said that like you have to put a genre before the word artist, because like, you know, like people saying hip hop artist, Drake, whatever, or country singer, or like pop artist Taylor Swift. It's like, why do we have to put a genre before it? It's like it should just be artist, because as a whole, it's like this artist could literally be a singer, but they could also be in front of like cameras and like acting perspective, and then they could also be like, you know, designing things. So it's like, why are we putting people in a box? Like, why can't we just let them be them, you know?
100%. Like I say, like Kanye did a good job for opening up that world where it's like he was like, if I want to do something, I'm gonna go do it, and not only that, but be successful at it. I think that opened probably a lot of doors. Like those, have you seen those boots?
Bro, yeah.
Like he can do that.
Oh
Kanye can just do that if he wants.
Yeah,
and we're all like, cool.
It's like, everybody's saying they're like Dexter's laboratory boots. Like they're something.
Who doesn't love Dexter's?
I mean, it takes a special person to pull those boots off. But damn, like I just like it because like he's so comfortable with who he is that he's okay with taking on like the like scapegoat role in a sense. Whereas like he's opening and like pretty much opening like borders for us, like artist wise, and like, you know, like he knows that he's gonna get backlash, but end of the day, like there's not too many people that are so comfortable with themselves that they're gonna go and do that.
Yeah,
because I mean, there's so many artists that, you know, have the influence to do something like that, but they rather just stay silent because they don't want to lose their money or they don't want to lose their fan base. And I don't know.
Not Kanye. Kanye doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But like, who are you listening to? What are you listening to right now?
Honestly, I listen to a lot of underground R&B female singers. So one of my favorites right now is this girl from Texas named D Gotti. Okay. She's been coming up, like literally blowing up in the last year throughout the whole pandemic. But she put out this EP. I can't fully remember what I think it was called To Say or something like that. But like as soon as that went out, she's been kind of doing like some covers of like Summer Walker and like bigger like R&B like heads, but like everything is just like, you know, like hitting in a point where like everybody's just like, oh, like why do I not know about this girl? And like also she's kind of bridging the gap too, because like before, like I used to think like dudes would used to be like, oh, it's soft to listen to R&B singers or female singers, but they would go listen to Drake, and I was like, so you're gonna listen to this guy singing in your ear, but you're not gonna listen to a female singing in your ear. And then like I really like this girl's like whole like vibe because she knows who she is. She's so comfortable with who she is, but she's also like not afraid to show that like she's a lesbian. So like some of her things that she says in songs too, it's like things that guys can really vibe to as well, because she's talking about how she would play this girl or how, you know, and it's like not to be toxic or whatnot, but you know,
real though.
yeah, it's real. Yeah.
And like so within that too, everybody's got a team behind them helping out. Nobody can do this on their own. What's sort of the team around you helping out with all this?
Honestly, I have my boy, and he just produced that last single actually. He goes by Call Me Ack on Instagram, and like without him, like you wouldn't have any music from me really, because like he engineers everything, like to the point where like I just literally hit record in my room and then like do the vocals to as best as I can, and then I just send it off to him, and then like he'll go and like put in like all the melodyne and like auto for people that don't know, like, you know, just like pitch correction and everything like that. And like literally just put like he'll move my like harmonies around or like my ad-libs around to make it like fit better and whatnot. So it's like literally it's like me throwing a lob and this man's just LeBron James, really. Like I'm just literally Dwayne Wade in this point. But like without him, like Yeah. And then other than that, it's just like a 1-2 kind of combo. Like there's not really anybody like from the recording standpoint that's really like in the mix. But as far as visuals go, like my boy Age of Chaos, he's been helping me out with the most recent project. Actually, he shot a video for Some You Need, and he shot the video for Certain. And like that man, like he's crucial too, because he's also so patient with me. Cause like picture, we shot these videos in, I want to say September, and then they didn't come out until like one came out late November, and then one came out in December. And like for him, like I know like when he sends people like videos back and whatnot, reference or not, they're so excited to drop it right away. But like for me, it's like I know there's only one time. Like there's only one, like I'm only gonna drop one time, so like I know I have to do it like right. And like for me, it's just like I don't want to go put a video out and say have audio issues or whatnot, have to take it down, and because I've been there before, and I don't know, it's just like
We all know that moment when you put something out and then you're playing it in front of other people, and instantly the feeling of how you felt about it changes.
Yeah.
So take the time. I always tell artists, take the time. Get it right. Make sure it's exactly how you want it, because it's out there for the history books once you're done with it. Like that's for the world once you're done.
Yeah.
So make sure you have it exactly where you want to get it. There's no rush.
After.
Like I see a lot of people. They'll be like, "I'm dropping something like in the next couple months," or what. I'm like, just drop it. Like what's the?
You don't need to announce it.
No.
But that's another thing too, is like because of social media and like I don't know. I feel like I'm such a weird person. Like if I didn't need to use it to build the brand, I wouldn't use it at all, because it's like it's literally just, well, one, it's a highlight reel, but it's so much of like show and tell, whereas like it leans so far into that show and tell side that people aren't actually doing the work that they need to do. And then that's why we have people hating and like people being like literally not sharing, like what we were talking about earlier with like people not sharing this person's music because they're afraid this person's gonna propel a lot faster with, you know, the audience. And it's like that just comes down to them not putting in the work themselves. Because for me, it's like if I felt that if I share this person's music and they're gonna blow up because I did that, that means that I already have what I need in my network, but I'm just not good enough. And some people don't really look at it that way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, also, I feel like when you're talking about social media and all that, I'm the same way. I'd love to just like get rid of all of it. Mm-hmm. And I think there is something exciting happening now with like Web 3.0 and NFTs and all that, where I think we will be able to take a bit more control. It's like, yeah, we finally will have a chance, I think. Hopefully, that's what Web 3.0 sounds like, is a chance for us to take over and run our own thing. It's kind of cool. The music industry throughout the last century was owned by the record companies. Napster comes along, disrupts the whole thing. They're all in panic. The whole thing kind of crumbles. Good couple years later, Spotify, all that comes. They kind of get the streaming thing, but we're all looking at it like, I don't know. Like, I know what Facebook does to me. Like, you're just taking my information and using me to throw me like 0.0004 cents on each play or whatever.
Fraction.
And I'm like, no. Like, give us these NFTs, give us this Web 3.0 so that we can not have the record labels, the Zuckerbergs, the Facebooks, the whatever running any of it. Like this freedom. Like I want this full freedom, not only in the sense of putting the music out, but also how we distribute it. I don't want that Spotify visualizer. I want to be able to put it out any way I want creatively, where it's exactly the package I want my fans to see. You know?
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense too. But that's another thing. It's just like, I feel like in the arts, like especially with music, like we never fully have creative control, because like there's always some kind of somebody that like some kind of middleman that is you can't get around, you know? It's like we all have like a distributor, like, you know, like I use DistroKid. I know some people will use like Untitled Masters because they feel like that's like more for the artists, more for the people, but it's like there's pros and cons to everything, you know? It's like DistroKid, you may have to pay a small fee, you don't with Untitled Masters, but in turn, it's just like Untitled Masters, like I don't want to like talk down on it or anything, but it could be kind of sus in a way, because like nothing's really free. So like, what are they really taking on the back end? And I mean, you never really know, but it's like they have their, you know, their app how can they run without, you know, any revenue or anything like that? So I don't know. It's corrupt, but no matter what, there's always a middleman.
As long as we have artists, we're passionate people, we will find a new way until we find the way that works, is the way I look at it. Or at least that's my hope, is that we'll eventually hit exactly what the artists need.
Yeah.
It took like 122 years so far, but hopefully we can get there, you know? Where it's like we own everything. We're smart people now. We've got all the resources with the internet that we don't need all these middlemen and distributors and stuff. Like, I don't want to give away all my good ideas around NFTs and stuff online, but like, just to throw out like stupid ideas, you can have physical things and digital things on an NFT. Like Kings of Leon, I think, gave away front row tickets or something.
Really? Yeah.
With their NFT, so you can have a physical thing. Like this is the stupidest idea ever. But for instance, like, maybe not a stupid idea. It's the first thing that came to my head. Like, you could have your music videos, your songs, your album art, everything tied into an NFT. And you could be like, if you also buy this NFT, there'll be 10 strippers that'll show up at your door. Like, that's part, or whatever, the stupidest thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can build it any way you want creatively.
It's true.
To put the what's the word? The environment or the thing there for the fan exactly as you want it for them. Not just a visualizer on Spotify and the song. It's like the whole package can be exactly how you see it.
More incentive for them to kind of buy into it. And
then also, like, what we won't deep dive NFTs and stuff. It's everyone talking on the internet right now about NFTs. but so the last 3 years kind of built you up to this day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the frame in which you really felt like you came into your own as an artist. And that's kind of also the time frame in which I discovered you and started listening to your music, because you sent some over because of the playlists and stuff. And I started listening. I was blown away, man. Like, I was like, I was stoked, because I was like, another one in the city just doing amazing things. Please. And the cool thing is like, this is the first conversation we've ever had. We've never met in person or anything. Like, we're sitting down for the first time having this conversation now. But I've been listening to your music now for 2-3 years and just been a fan.
And honestly, I appreciate that too, because like, another thing is, like, for me, like, if you see me in like a public setting, like, a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you tell people you make music more? And I'm like, because for me, it just has to be an organic thing. Like, I need people, and like, a lot of times I'd rather meet somebody in person before like social media, because it's like, social media, like, some people could see what I do and they'll be like, oh, you're very ignorant. And I'm like, it's just because I'm not really here for judgment, or I don't really care. But like, if you see me out, like, it's kind of just like, you'll see the conscious side of things. And like, I find like, you can't really, once you see an ignorant side, it's like, you only get one first impression, right? So it's like, once you see an ignorant side, it's like, some people like I feel like personally, I rub them the wrong way, because they're like, oh yeah, like, he's just so like da-da-da-da-da. But I'm like, okay, that's okay. But it's just because I know myself, so I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've only been talking for maybe an hour, like half hour before cameras turned on. Great vibes, man. Like humble and everything. So everyone shut the fuck up. You know, it's like whoever's out there hating, shut the fuck up. So like, moving forward then, like, so this single's out, but like, what's the next game plan? What's coming next for Storm?
So honestly, like, so January 1st, that single came out, but December 1st, 5 songs came out, like, in a little EP, that How'd We Get Here EP. And then as soon as I put that out, like, I literally went right into another project. So like, it's still like in the early stages. I've only sent off one song already, like, officially to my engineer, but I'm aiming to do another 6 songs. Like, this one's probably gonna be 6 songs. But the first thing that's gonna come is most likely a single with a music video, and then I'm gonna kind of use that to give myself a little bit more time to work on the project. Because I mean, like I said, like, I feel like I have a lot of momentum right now, so like, I don't want to give too much of a grace period for somebody else to kind of come in and, you know, like, take a little bit of attention from that. So I'm just gonna really just keep a lot of pressure on people, and like, it's just constant, like, this year, constant drops, like, from singles to EPs, and my goal is to drop every, like, at least 2, like, either a single or an EP in each quarter of the year. So I don't know how that's gonna work out, and I don't want to put too much like on my plate, but I mean, right now with the pandemic and like during the day, it's just like I have so much time right now because like it's slow season in the restaurants and like I bartend during the day. So it's like, I mean, I'm really only working 3 days a week right now. So, you know, like there's a lot of time to be in the studio.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, the summertime, it gets busy. So it's like, I'm definitely trying to take advantage of this whole winter lull, build up my catalog so that when this pandemic does kind of clear, I can really spend the time doing shows and still have that catalog of like unreleased music that I can sprinkle in different sets.
Have you played shows before?
Yeah, I had a show recently on in December actually, December 11th, with Afro Beach Vancouver. There's their Instagram handle. But yeah, it was cool actually. It was like they rented out a penthouse, and like the venue, like it was sold out, so it was cool. And then I was the last act of the night too, so like I mean, it was that was kind of bad because like the energy in there was just so like there's so much energy, everybody's bouncing off the walls. So like I was drinking and like I feel like I drank a little too much, but like still got the performance done and everything like that. Everybody's like, "Oh, you killed it" and whatnot, and I'm like, I feel like I could have done better, but that's just me being like I drank a little too much. But it's what it is. No slurring of words or anything.
Sometimes it's good to have a couple extra drinks though before you get on stage, just to loosen up and just let it flow. Like even if you don't put out the performance you wanted to, if it's just real in the moment. Like I don't know, I'm not the biggest advocate of drinking or anything, but like sometimes, you know, there's a time and place for everything.
Just gets you loose a little bit.
Yeah, you know?
Oh, like my thing is typically like I'll just drink like a bottle of white wine before like a show.
Oh, classy.
It's just like you can control that a little bit more. But like when it comes to shots, it's like you can take one shot, take another one thinking that you're fine, and the next thing you know, like you're forgetting your lyrics. So like shit, like I don't know. You gotta be careful.
I know you afraid. 7 days away.
Sir.
And you know I know.
Yeah.
Says you know, no.
She won't talk about how her best friend came through. No long talk, we get the sex scene and texting. I call her mama when she met me. Like, They get my last name. And we don't even need a Pillow-Tain. Fucking fitness, I got moves to get you wet alive. Had to notice that you knew that I've been getting mine. I come through and get to doing shit that hit the spine. It's funny though that it ain't mine. Say, talking about spots I know, son. Got it screaming for G, cause that's one. I be swimming whole D in that. Want me hit it 5 times in 1 weekend. Came right in and I don't do it for no one. I could come hold you when it's over. Sitting right, betting that I give you a show. Cause you looking right and shawty, I don't do it for no one.
Company, won't you pull up outside and bring it all for me? When you move it, oh damn, you make it hard to breathe. Only 2 a.m., no it ain't.
Well, yeah, that's like a big thing too, is like people on the outside looking in, like I feel like they don't really understand that it is an investment at the end of the day. Cause like some people think that like, oh, like you can just make a song and then like in turn you'll blow up overnight and then this all of a sudden money comes in out of thin air. But it's like that whole spend money to make money is relevant in this world too, you know? Cause like I can't even get into it, but like the past like 2 years or so, like I've definitely spent well over like thousands just, you know, and into something that, you know, is uncertain. So like that's why I say like the whole sacrifice and the whole like mental toughness and like discipline that it takes to literally even be successful, like even remotely successful as an artist. Like a lot of people can't even like fathom it because it's just, you know, like just imagine like how many people you've probably been around that are like, oh, I don't know where my rent's gonna come from next month, but like, you know, like picture that, but in a flip world where it's like you spend this money and you're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to see this back. And it's like you keep on doing it. But if you don't do it, then, you know, like what you love is never going to be attainable. So.
It's almost like looking at it like some people spend money on therapists, some people whatever for their mental health, some people go to the gym and have their monthly membership.
Yeah.
We go to the studio. That's where we get it all out.
Definitely.
I need these times to make this kind of stuff. Like I need to sit down and make music, and if that's the only money I got, if it's the last dollars I have, I'll put it back into music because that's what I need.
Well, yeah, because people always say like, end of the day, you can't take it with you, right? So just picture like, this is why we have so many people that like, I don't want to say like I don't want to call them salty because like, I don't want to like talk down on anybody, but like when we, like that's why when we get to like the point when we're older and stuff, we have this person talking about like, oh yeah, I used to do this, but you know, it wasn't for me. It's like, maybe it was, but you just didn't really dive into it how you needed to. And in turn, that's why you're kind of, you know, like sour about it.
And I feel like those people should walk away unless you're like unless you're willing to sleep on the couches, skip the meals and do what you have to, like, because even if it goes well in the early stages, the music game inevitably will probably have some ups and downs, and there will be those tough times. So you got to love it to that degree, or else I tell people like, maybe go get like a job somewhere else or something, because this game will kill you. It'll eat like, your brain away until you're just like, you can't handle it.
And another thing too is just like the adversity. It's like, because like I want to say there's anybody in the world that like has never gone through adversity, but it's just like you said, the ups and downs, or like when you get into like show settings, when like you try to perform and like you think that you're lit, and then the crowd is
talking about coffee or what.
You know, it's like all those things will really kind of get to you, and it's just like then in turn, like when you start to get in your head and be like, oh, can I really do this, or am I good enough, or why can't I get people to listen, or you know, it's like it's a lot of trial and error trying to figure out how to get the audience to listen to you, how to move them in certain ways, or how to even get them to care that you're on stage, you know? Because it's like nowadays, it's like unless you're literally so established that like you can kind of change somebody's life by them knowing you, they're not really caring about you. And it's really sad to say, but you know, it's like people forget that everybody had to start somewhere and work their way up. And again, it's just one of those sacrifices and one of those like things as an artist that you have to go through, and like it'll either make or break you kind of thing. So
like not a bit very popular name in the media right now, but Travis Scott, for instance, that Netflix thing that he put out, I love that scene where it's like him on a stage at what looks like some kind of P&E type setting, and there's like 15 people and only 2 of them are really paying attention. It's like, even he was there, so it gives everybody a little bit of that hope. Like if Travis Scott could be there, and then
everybody gets booed off the stage at one point in time. I don't want to say everybody gets booed off the stage, but like something will happen to you at some point in time on stage, and it'll kind of affect you in a way. Like I remember I did a show at the Red Room, and this was in 2020 actually, so one of those years. But picture like, because I'm on like, it was probably like 11 o'clock I'm on, and like doors open at 8 or so, and like there are people like standing on the ground like in front of me, whatnot, but then there's just like a section of people just sitting in a booth over like in the far back corner. And I remember like saying something over the microphone, because like I feel like I'm very like interactive with the crowd during like sets, just because I know that like if I say something to the crowd, they can't not listen to me, you know? So like that's just something that I learned, and like just how to like perform. But that being said, like they're sitting off in a corner, and I'm like, okay, why are you guys coming to a club to see a show but feel so cool that you want to go sit in a booth in a corner, and you don't have bottle service in here? Like, what's the point of sitting in a booth? Like, you guys came to see a show, like, you know, enjoy the show. But that being said, we have a lot of people that, you know, like are so caught up in their, like their, I don't know, in their heads, and I don't know what it is, but for me, it's like I'm never gonna spend my money to try to look cool in a place. Like that's just ridiculous. But I mean, that being said, like that kind of shook me in a way, because I was like, what the hell? Like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, but then in turn, like I spent probably like, I want to say at least a minute talking about these guys when I could have just been performing for the people that, you know, are paying attention. But at the end of the day, it's just like you live and you learn, right? So
Yeah, it's like my co-creator of these, Mike Bodzanowski over there. Like he's a stand-up comedian as well.
Okay.
And stand-up comedians know about bombing.
Yeah.
Like you gotta bomb. It's part of the process. That's how you grow. That's how you
Yeah.
get better. Like you accept bombing.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna be part of the growth of it.
Definitely.
And I like if I could, I'd have all the artists that I work with. I'd be like, go play every day, go bomb, go win, go
Yeah.
everything. Like have all the experience of what performing is. Like sit in a room with 3 people that aren't even paying attention. Like
Yeah.
we've had shows at Studio up on Granville and at Red Room and places like this where it's brutal. I feel bad for them up on stage because I know what the buildup is. I know the work that was put in to get there and everything, and then to stand there and just watch everyone not care at the slightest.
It humbles you though, and I feel like that's something that's missing in this like industry as a whole, is because like there's so many people like in turn like I don't want to say like they're insecure in all cases, but like they'll go buy chains and go and buy stuff that is literally so materialistic that, you know, like they don't really need, but it's just so they can have that sense of like, oh, I belong here, like, you know, like I'm the shit now, I like da 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 da. And it's like, bro, like if you had that sense of, you know, like knowing yourself before, you didn't need to spend that 10,000. I mean, like you, in some cases, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars on chains. When, you know, your mom is over here when you could go buy her a house. You know, it's like, I don't know. And then they wonder why like they're a target in certain environments. You know, it's like, for me, I'm like, that's why I don't really wear jewelry or anything like that, because for me, it's just like, one, I don't really have money like that. Like, even if I did, it's like, why am I gonna spend like $5,000 on a chain and then, you know, a couple years later I'm gonna be like, oh, now I have more, so let me go do it. It's like, no, like you know, I have a family, they can use that money for something. Like,
Also, you don't need chains to be fresh. Like
exactly.
Like you look at people, it's in the eyes, it's in the walk, it's in the vibe of the human being. That's like true swagger to me. It's like if you're hiding it all with chains and stuff. Like I know kids in the city, and I'm not doing this to out anybody, and I never will, but I know kids in the city, in their dresser drawers, they got stacks of fake cash just for like music videos. And I'm like, but they're not even paying the rent in that house.
Yeah.
It's like what are you doing? Like art is meant to be real. And I think we've really lost that a little bit in this fake diamonds, fake everything world.
That's another thing, like with this industry, it's just like I feel like they look at the little babies, the little Dirks, the little, like literally any person that's really like trapping, and they're like, oh, okay, I think that life is cool. Like I see them like with all the success, and then they try to like emulate it in a way, and it's like that's not real to you. So like you're who you want to call a fan, and like I hate when people say like, oh, my fans, because it's like they're not putting you on a pedestal. Like, and when you say that, like in my eyes, I'm like, you feel like you're above them. Like I'll always say like supporters, because it's like end of the day somebody could support you today and then not tomorrow because you did something crazy, like calling them a fan or treating them like they're below you. And like it's just, to me, I'm just like, why did the industry get to the point where it's like people feel like because they can do something that somebody else can't, they're better than somebody? Because there's a lot of people that like, I can't play a single instrument. Like I just know how to songwrite because just trial and error, right? But you know, it's like there's so many people that can really play instruments, and I'm just like, teach me how to do that. Like that's cool. And again, like me saying the word cool just now is like, I just hate like the social media as a whole, again, because it's like people too focused on being cool, but it's like cool is I feel like is a word that people just made up, like young kids made up because they didn't want to feel different. And like now I'm just like, okay, like if you're not different, how are you ever going to be successful? Like, because I mean, if you and I made music and we both talked about the same things, you know, like how you can't differentiate the two. So what's the point? Like, it's just ridiculous.
Like I love fashion, I'd never do it, but like the coolest thing that I could do is when I get that kind of money, get a shoestring, put my mom's mortgage on it, tie it around my neck with a big red paid stamp on it, you know, and be like, that's cool. That's cool to me.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
I think a lot of us do this, just like there's something about like mom's mortgage or like paying, like getting your mom out of it is like, I think inspiration for a lot of us.
It should, I mean, honestly, as a whole, because it's like, I mean, I always think about it and I'm like, the music that you guys hear from me is like, this wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom to begin with. Because like, you know, like your dad could be around, but it's just like, end of the day, like he's not gonna just put you into the world. So yeah, I don't know. And then like for me, it's just like a lot of credit goes to my mom, because she's the one who introduced me to like a lot of like the R&B sounds that I still listen to today, and like the why like you'll hear so much vulnerability in my music, and like even on like my posts and whatnot, like you'll see that, because like she taught me that cool is not a thing, you know. It's like be quote unquote weird, because you know, like end of the day, that person that says you're weird is the weird one, because they don't really know themselves.
You're like 6-7-year-old Storm in the house. What's the mom playing?
oh man, I'm waking up to like Man in the Mirror playing by Michael Jackson. Damn, like some old school. I don't even want to say it because I might pronounce the name wrong, but Sade.
I think that sounds right.
And then Casey and JoJo. Yeah, literally just very soulful house. Even on, and then when the weekends came, gospel was playing, like Kirk Franklin, and just literally people that were really singing like songs that make you feel something. And then like, so now to this day, it's just like I don't really like, I listen to some rap music when I'm in like the gym and stuff like that, but like more often than not, like you see me walking around, I'm just listening to some like singer or something like that. Because yeah, like I was saying to you before, like it was weird to me in the past to hear like guys be like, oh, singing is soft, but you're gonna listen to Drake sing off key. Actually, I shouldn't get into that, but early music with Drake is, for me, is just where I listen to. But like, and that being said, it's like some stuff like even before Take Care is like he's still figuring himself out. So it's like he was off key in certain points in time too. Like none of us are really perfect, but like people would listen to Drake singing in your ear, and then they won't listen to like somebody like her or like D Gotti singing. And I'm like, I don't know. Like for me, I'm like, so much of this industry has like emphasis on females and whatnot, but it's just like if we put so much emphasis on females, why are we not respecting them in the same way? You know, it's like, why are we trying to make them seem like they're not really anything to us? But in the end of the day, this guy is looking in his mirror being like, oh, why don't I have any, you know? It's like, I don't know.
And like Yara, who I interviewed, for instance, like just such a great voice, writes all her own songs. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, we got to boost up and support these ladies and help them where we can. Because like, yeah, I'm the same as you. I'd rather hear a lady singing sweet R&B songs than a dude. Not, I listen to both, but like, you know, there's so much more opportunity for these ladies to do some crazy things in this game, especially in Vancouver. Yeah. And like, we should be helping them along. I do. Like, I ran a recording studio here for 7-8 years. It was a lot of dudes. Yeah. And like, it's just like dude after dude after dude showing up. I'm like, where are the girls in this industry? Yeah. Like, and I think it's like you're seeing it now. They're coming up. They feel like they have their space. I hope. Yeah. And I hope that just grows more and more, where we can get more female artists the space they need out here to create.
And that being said, too, it's like sometimes I feel like in the past, a lot of females weren't really stepping into the studios because they were intimidated in a sense, because like unless they were going with like their closest guy friend or whatnot, like somebody they feel real comfortable going into the studio with, they wouldn't put themselves in those situations because they don't want to be in like, say, a room full of people that are, not to say every studio session is like this, but like if, say, somebody's doing like drinking and doing whatnot to like get themselves into that environment, they don't want to be in there with that, because next thing you know, something escalates, whatnot. You know, it's like, so I almost feel like a lot of it was intimidation in a sense before. So, you know, making sure that they're safe, because
working with these women too, I've heard the stories of like the things that actually go real wrong, and it just tears your heart apart. It's like, I always hoped like the studio I ran was like that kind of space. Like I'm not gonna mention these girls' names, but like they would come by the studio, I'd be like, I'd go extra to make sure like I'd make sure that there was that energy in the room, that they knew they were safe, not even just from like a human perspective, from the artistic perspective. I wanted them to feel the same way the boys, because when the guys come in, I make sure that they can feel like they can have that vulnerability.
Yeah.
I wanted to create the same thing for the ladies, and I hopefully it was appreciated. I was also crazy at some point and probably a nuisance to be around on both ends for the guys and the girls, but hopefully that space was always created that way, and hopefully the studios in the city now are opening up the space for the ladies. I know Palm Street that we work out of is like there's a lot of females working out there, and
yeah, I do. Like, I really hope it's a lot better because, like, it's a sad thing to, like, we were talking about earlier. If, like, what you love to do is kind of, like, taken from you, you're going to literally just be so down. And, like, that being said, it's, like, picture, like, you're a female that loves to make music, and then all of a sudden you can't go into the studio, or worst case scenario, you go finish a song and then all of a sudden your engineer is just acting weird now, and now that song that you love and you spend that time making in the studio can't even leave the studio.
That you owe me something vibe or whatever, like, oh, I let you record for free or whatever, you owe me something. It's like, fuck off, man. Like, so it's a creepy, weird thing that I witnessed. Like, or at least heard stories about. And I was like, ugh.
It makes you feel like I mean, at least if you're a decent human being, like, it's gonna make you feel something inside, because you're like, that really happens. Like, and not to be naive and be like, oh, that doesn't, but it's just like the fact that, like, us as a whole, like, we're the ones who kind of put them in that, like, back against the wall kind of thing, where, like, they may not be able to make music because of males. Like, that's just, I don't know.
The coolest thing too is, like, there's a lot of female artists, but now there's these female producers coming up, and they're making hits, man. It's wild, like, because women do look at the world differently, and the lyrics are one thing, but to hear how they create a hi-hat and a snare and a kick and an 808 with a melody is different too.
That's the thing is, like, one I respect the most is, or like, not respect the most, but like I have the most respect for it is Wonder Girl out of Toronto. And like, because I remember, like, just because I spent a lot of, like, my early years just, like, back and forth in between Toronto and Barrie, and like it's just like being in Toronto, you couldn't really be in a, like, now it's kind of different because of all the politics and whatnot. There's not really shows for underground artists, but at the time, like, I want to say early 2013, and like before that, there was a lot of underground shows. And like, I remember seeing Wonder Girl like countless times in these venues, just chilling, whatnot, checking out local, like, talented artists. But like, to see where she was at the point in time, because she had a placement on Travis Scott's, I think it was that album with Antidote. And like, I'm pretty sure she has credits on Antidote for producing, like, I think co-producing or something like that. But it's literally in the heat of that song, she's just in a local club, whatnot, checking out music. And like, that's when I was like, this girl is so cool, because I'm like, she could literally be like on her way to, whatever kind of stardom, but she's still like humble enough and in tune enough to know that she's not the last person to come out of the city. And that's why when I was talking to you about, like, when people literally feel like they don't want to share this person's music because they'll get, like, kind of fast tracked to where they want to, or where they're supposed to be. It's just like, you can't change that person's trajectory. And also you should help them get to where they want to be, because in turn, it's like, if this is a genuine person, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, thanks, man, bye. Like, like, in turn, you could get a verse or something out of this person, and then it helps your career too. And all you had to do was just share it to, like, however many people you have. And it's only there for 24 hours. It's not like it's, like you're posting it for your life.
Like, Wonder Girls might be number one for me right now on, like, drum patterns. The way that she lays drums out just messes my mind up, man. It's, like, I can't even explain it. I just listen to some of those drum patterns she puts together. I'm like, I mean, she's been doing it since she was a kid too. And like, not then there's the producers, and like, there's also these female mix engineers. And I gotta say, the ladies in the mix engineer world and the recording studio world that are running studios and mix engineers and stuff, that's like, when I was going to Nimbus, you would see these girls. But it was only like halfway through the year. Like, when I started the school, there was 0 females in the school. Okay. And then by the time I left, there was a good like 5, 10. I'm like, yeah, let's go, ladies. Anyway, we could talk about ladies all day. But
I know you afraid. 7 days away. And you know
gon' talk about how her best friend came